Completely.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's very rare that we were going to put all these people in the room and then not look at them at all.
So you want to cheat over?
Yeah, you want to cheat a little bit?
Cheat over.
Sure.
Every once in a while we'll glance. When we make each other laugh, we'll glance over.
You know what? We're like co-pilots, just sitting here, flying directly into the audience. You know, this is, of course, Montreal, and you are running around all over town. In demand last year, you were Comedian of the Year.
Yeah, that's because like 9 people couldn't make it here to accept the award. That's what they do. They have their list, and they just go, hey, can you make it?
Right.
Can you come here? Nah, I can't. I'm doing a movie. All right. Who's next? And then they whittled it all the way down to me. I had that happen to me one time at a festival. They go, hey, can you accept this Comedian of the Year thing? I go, oh, no, I can't do it. And they go, what about next year? Can you do it next year? It's like, what if I suck next year? What if I don't do anything? What if I get caught for, like, stealing everything I ever did? It's just like, no. I think you'll be good. We're forecasting over the next 12 months. You're still going to be good.
So they probably have the next 4 years of comics picked out.
They got locked in. It's like the Illuminati with like the next 9 presidents. They know who it's going to be.
They know who it's going to be
totally.
every single time. Well, you're doing so many different things, but one of the things that you're doing is an animated series.
Yeah,
right?
It's coming out in December, called F is for Family. And we're doing that. I'm doing that with the Wild West, which is Vince Vaughn's company, and it's going to be on Netflix.
Now, that's the craziest thing for me, because this is something that you wanted for a long time, or did it just kind of come up?
It was something that came up as I was getting older, because I was doing jokes, joking about my childhood, my whole career, and everyone would always laugh and thought it was funny. And then somewhere in like the mid 2000s, I started hearing like, "Aw," in the crowd. Some of those, and then a little more groans. And what was happening was my generation, had gotten older, and then this next generation, that generation of kids that, play dates, and you wear a helmet when you ride a bicycle, helicopter parents, and, all of that type of thing. So then, I don't know, it was just like so people started to groan. It was frustrating to me, and I don't know, I just kind of stopped talking about it. One day I was out walking my dog, and I was thinking, how can I do these things? And I was like, well, what if I animate them? And the idea was basically I was going to just put the money up myself and make little 5-minute shorts of just, because there was always like these simple activity like, hey, let's go to the aquarium or whatever. And that, whole family, it looks like the Brady Bunch, and then there'd be all this dysfunction and people flipping out and dropping the F-bomb. But in the end, you saw the dolphins and you had a good day and you came home. So, that's I was just going to make those. And then, I don't know, I ended up, how the hell did I get there? I was working with Steve Burr, and Vince was in the crowd. We took a meeting, and I was like, I don't want to do the development thing. I don't want to do that because all my ideas that always come, they always say that, like, that's misogynistic. That's too mean to these people. You're encouraging kids to do drugs, everything that I want to do. But if I did the whole, the guy's a big dummy and the woman's smarter, then they were like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we like that. It's like, really? That's not like reverse kind of sexism if the guy's like a moron. Remember that commercial where the woman's on the computer and the guy's in the back? There's a beehive and he's literally shoving a broom handle up it, and she's looking like, oh, he's a moron. Like, I love how that's okay. Yeah. Right? But the other stuff. So I was just like, I don't want to do any development deal because all it does is just make you exclusive to that thing, and then shit that's going you can't work on. So I was just like, to hell with it. I'm not the guy that gets the show. I'm going to be the guy that gets on the show that's already on. And so they were like, all right. And then I was walking out. I was like, I kind of got this idea for a cartoon, and they were looking to do it, and they're like, what is it? And long story, 4 years later, here we are. Turned it into, like, rather than 5-minute vignettes, it's like a half-hour serialized story of this family, loosely based on my childhood. And when we were getting like the writers together for the show, all we would do is just ask them to tell childhood stories. And if they came in and was like, well, we went on picnics and my mother always loved me, it's like, all right, see you later. But if they came in, yeah, my brother used to beat the shit out of me and, throw fireworks at me, you're like, all right, submit something. Let me see what you got. So it's going to be, I was just doing a gig in Ottawa where where they animate it. This place, Big Jump is the name of the company, and I am the most excited of anything that I've ever done in this business to see this thing come to light in December.
So you actually walked in to see how hard it is actually to draw and then make the whole thing move.
No, I actually just had a gig there. And then the people working go, hey, those guys are down there. We should go see them. And I was like, all right. And I went down there and there was like this whole crew of like 20-somethings writing it. And I was really excited that they thought it was funny and that their parents, had seen some of the drawings and they were looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, it's always sad because like you'll write this stuff and then it's like a half an hour to get an arm to move for, you know what I mean? Just, it's so much work to get that stuff done. But those guys love that. You're probably the last generation that had the opportunity to kind of go off on their own without their parents freaking out,
If somebody like and falling asleep back there?
Yeah. He's, choking. He's choking on himself. But don't you think that's like the last generation to be able to go out without their parents taking them on the trip?
Yeah, no, we used to just like, my parents would just open the door and you just walked out. That was it. And they'd be like, come back at night and, like they were like annoyed with you being around, like in the summertime that you weren't at school and they just send you out and then they'd ring a bell. And you came in, and you just went out as bands of kids of all different ages, and you'd meet other kids, and if they were bigger, they'd beat the shit out of you. Like I remember time my parents bought me this little cowboy outfit for my birthday, and sent me outside. Right, I had this hat, this little holster, and these guns that were plastic, and I just walked to the end of the driveway, and these bigger kids came by, saw me, and just took the guns out and smashed them on the ground. And walked away, and I sat there crying in my cowboy outfit and picked up the broken guns and brought them into my mother. And she's like, well, who did that? I was like, big kids. She goes, all right. And I just sat down, and she gave me a sandwich. And that was it. There was like no calling.
Yeah, right.
Other parents or anything like that. And, it was that type of stuff. And
yeah, that was like, everybody remembered, like the scariest thing, if one of your friends yelled teenager, everyone just started to run. You know what I mean? It was like hearing shark, where you would just take off. But no one did kind of go back and get the bullies or talk to them. You just kind of waited till you got
I don't
older.
understand, like, is there way more people, like, getting kidnapped now? Like, parents, like, dude, I used to have a paper route. I get up at like 5:45 in the morning, I got on a bicycle, dressed as a paper boy, and for some pedophile, that's got to be like the French maid outfit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm just riding down the street, going up the hill with my ass in the air. Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened. And then, like I've had a job since the 3rd grade. It was great. I always had money. I made like $8 a week or $10 a week, which was a fucking fortune. I had no overhead, and I was into I liked like gum and football cards, and that was it. And I always had money.
You ever come home from the paper route with like 3 extra papers? It used to happen to me all the time. Just like, who did I fucking forget here? You just end up chucking them in the backyard. But I don't know. Do kids have a paper route? Does anybody?
No, what happened was the economy just kept tanking and tanking, and it became an adult job.
Right.
And then people just, now you have people driving in cars, and they throw them out,
Yeah.
We used to bring them all the way up to the door and all that type of shit. And
sure. Then you have to collect.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No, I don't even see kids outside. I remember like 10 years ago, I was doing a gig in Cleveland, and I'm riding around like killing a day with like the other 3 comics on the show, and we rode by, and there was like 8 kids in the front yard playing what we used to call kill the man with the ball, which basically had a football and everyone would just tackle you, and then you'd fumble it, and then someone else would pick it up. We just drove by like in shock, just seeing kids playing outside, just being like, man, I haven't seen that in like 15 years. But in defense of kids today, if they had video games the way they had them today, no fucking way. I would be a tub of shit. I'd just be sitting there playing them.
But that's the
childhood diabetes.
Yeah,
I'd be a mess.
But that's the thing. That's where you learn how to play sports too, in the Sandlot. You know what I mean? You learn that way before you ever played Little League. So a few years ago, I was a Little League coach, and kids came in and they didn't know even how to play catch. I'm like, what are you kidding me? And they thought I was there to teach catch. I'm like, we're going to get fucking killed this year.
No, it's just, it's a different time. So the show's basically, it's basically,
Well, the big change, right? You know what took place, I think, that put the fear into people is you were the last generation before cable TV and before cable news. So we were kind of isolated. And I think once the 80s started, if a kid was like missing in Seattle, people in Florida started going, where's our kids at? Let's bring them inside. Like, the TV started to scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Because I think the same amount of kids, stuff happened to him throughout every age. We just
I think this is really responsible for both of us to not research the numbers and just kind of put this out there.
Yeah.
I mean, judging from where I'm sitting, I don't think it's gone up at all. I think your kids are perfectly safe. Just let them run around.
Yeah. Well, I'm not making a cartoon about it, so we're pointing fingers here. But it does seem almost crazy for kids that'll be watching this and checking out. It's a completely different life that they live compared to, the way.
But I still think they're going to relate to it because I think that there's a bunch of people that, they're just volatile. People still have tempers.
Right.
And flip out. And, there's divorce and there's all, kids are also doing meth. There is ways where kids are way scarier. Like when I saw crack babies, when I saw that, I was like, that's it. That's the end. There's nothing worse than that. And then this next generation, they surprised me when, the whole meth thing came about and you started seeing those before and after pictures on the billboards where they got the wooden teeth. They were they were like a prom queen and then they become like a zombie. So I think there is enough of that they'll relate to it. I hope so anyways.
When you were a kid, did you want to get older or did you want to stay a kid? Was there a feeling of this is the best thing or were you always looking forward at the next gimmick?
No, I didn't even think that far.
I used to just think just to be a teen, when I was 12, I'd want to be 15 or 16. When I was 15 or 16, I just wanted to be 21 and go to a bar.
I just remember thinking, don't call on me in class.
Yeah.
And, just don't beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Those were the overwhelming ones.
Not a good student,
I was until it counted. I did fine until 8th grade, and then when it really mattered, when college, if college looked at 1 through 8, I would have gone to Harvard. But 9th grade, I just I don't know. And when I was in 9th grade, I wanted to go to Notre Dame and be a lawyer. By the sophomore year, I was maybe I'll get into construction. Do a little roofing or some shit like that. So didn't work out.
So, but you don't even know what it was that changed for you. It wasn't one thing. It was just suddenly you stopped caring about that age, about 9th grade.
No, I was just failing miserably, and at that point, I knew there was no turning it around. So I was just well, I might as well have a good time. And I always had this belief that it was going to be all right, but they were definitely pumping the fear. You need 2 years of a language. If you don't do this, you're going to be destitute. They were basically selling their thing. So, I did not do well. But I think after doing the podcast and having to read advertising out loud, I do think I have some sort of, there's something wrong with me. Either I'm dumb or I can use one of the millennial excuses of ADD or, I don't know, I almost said Ritalin. What was the other one they'd say? Not Adderall. No, the fucking, where the words get mixed up. Yeah. There you go. That's not dyslexia, you fucking morons. That's me not remembering the word. That would be Alzheimer's. Jesus Christ.
They actually think that you're doing a PSA for it right now.
No,
it's not
I have no idea.
Or PAS, if that helps at all. I don't know how to translate those.
No, I have a mild form of that shit, and I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not good at reading. I can't read. I hate it. It takes me an hour to read 20 pages. I read very slowly. Everything in there reminds me of something in my life, and I just start going off on these journeys, and something else is continuing to turn the page and read.
Right.
And 3 pages will go by, and then I have to go back, and it's just. I love when they make a movie out of a book. I love when they do it.
You wait, huh?
Yeah, cut out all I don't care, make your own edits. I don't give a shit. One of my big accomplishments in life is I actually read the whole Count of Monte Cristo, which was a 700-page book, and it took me 6 months to get through them. It was this little print. I was just sick of people bringing up classic books, and I had no idea what they were talking about, and so I read a bunch of them, and you know what? And then I don't think I ever heard anybody bring them up again.
No. It is really funny because that's the only thing is when someone would bring up a book like that to you, you're like, oh, I read it in 9th grade. When really it was set for an older person to read. We force it on 9th graders, but no one will ever say, you ever see Jaws? And you're like, oh, I saw it in 9th grade. I don't need to say it again. We'll fucking watch movies a million times in a row. But a book, you're like, I did it 25, 30 years ago. Really don't want to go back there for that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read one over again. Other than shit that was read to me when I was a kid. And then my nephews and stuff, you know, green eggs and ham. I've read that a couple of times.
Where do you see the movie? It's fucking amazing. It's amazing.
I'd go see that. It's probably in the next Avenger movie, like they'll fuck it somehow.
But see, that's the thing, that they also didn't classify people with those kind of learning disabilities back then either. You know, it was just a matter of, well, you seem like you're going to be a shop major. Like in my school, a lot of us were just, the last 3 or 4 years, we're just making end tables. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, and then they would go, you know, there's a lot of people that need end tables. Stay with it. You know, now people get upset if someone seems like they want to do something other than go to college, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should teach you about money, and I think they should teach you to hang out with positive people, and just basic stuff like that. But instead of just being like, you know this, learn this, do this, and they get you into this whole like the frustration of like, I don't want to do this and I have to learn this thing is something that you just start thinking like that's what life is going to be, rather than you have all these choices and all this shit to do. I mean, it took me like a 20-year hangover of getting out of public schools to be like, wait, I'm an adult now. I can choose to read something if I want to. The print is big enough. I'll do it. I can indulge in a hobby or something like that. I can do shit that I want to do, and that, you know, you can have a fun job. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, you know?
Well, you know, life lessons is, a lot of those things are tough because a lot of those people are academics. You know what I mean? Like, those people who teach kids went all the way through school, loved it, and then they come back to teach kids and they're surprised that there's some kids who are going, no, I'd much rather hang out with my friends, or there's an album I want to get, or some movie I'm obsessed with. Maybe there's a way of grabbing Burr-type people and bring them in to talk to those kids, you know? Not a matter of scared straight, but just to say, look, you might have a creative mind. There's something else you can do with it.
I just think you need to have money to do something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like a herd of kids come in. You're just giving them the general, you know, 2 + 2 = 4. Shut the fuck up. You're just trying to get it. Just get them this overall thing. I think it's probably up to the parents. I have no idea. I don't have any kids. Like I said, I don't read. You know, I'm not trying to, I don't know how we got onto this. Like, I'm trying to change the educational system. Can't even say the word.
Well, I believed in you for a second. I went with you. I followed you there.
No, I just live my life like a big kid. That's how I do. I just indulge in hobbies. I play drums. I just got a pilot's license. I learned how to fly a helicopter. Having a great time with that shit. And, you know, I don't know, want to learn how to speak a language. You know? This language? Huh? I don't know, maybe a little half-assed French here or there or something. I'd rather do that.
So what made you want to get into the helicopter thing?
Just the claustrophobia of living in L.A. And how there was no way out of it, and just looking at us running out of water, and how they're not talking about that in the election. They just don't talk about that shit. They don't talk about how they're fucking with their food supply. It's because they all make like $400,000 a year, you know, $200,000 a year. The politicians, they need all the money of these guys. So then they, you know, they talk about these other people on the other side of the planet, and everybody gets offended at fucking comedians. And, you know, they're offended by comedians, but they don't give a fuck somebody's genetically altering the shit they're giving to their kid. It's I don't know. It's just a weird time, and I think this shit is gonna hit the fan. Maybe it isn't, but if it does, I can just go up and out of it while everybody murders one another. So along the way, though, it's been a fun thing. I saw my first whale. I flew out to Catalina Island, and I saw a whale come up and out, get a breath of air. It was fucking amazing. It's one of the most unreal privileges you could ever have, to just go around flying over shit. I'll tell you right now, you can't believe what is in the ocean. I am terrified of the ocean as much as people are scared of flying, dude. Fly over the ocean. The shit that you see down, like, what the fuck is that? And then you look over, like 400 yards away, there's like 3 jerk-offs on surfboards, like waiting to catch a wave. And you just want to yell like, right down below. Get out of the water.
There's a hell of a lot of it out there, too, when you're flying it over. Like, when somebody's missing in a boat in the ocean, and they're like, we set up planes, you know, to take a look for them. I'm like,
no, you're not going to find
good luck with that, man.
No, I know somebody took a cruise around the world, and the captain said, if you fall overboard, just to let you know, day or night, we've had a 0% success of rescuing you. Because by the time they slow that fucker down, what they do is they throw a life preserver off one side, port and starboard, right? And when it hits the water, it blinks. And then they have to slow the boat around, and then they turn around and try to drive through it to try to find where the fuck you are. And at that point, depending on your level of swimming, what the current is, you're gone. You're just gone. One of the scariest movies I ever saw was that Open Water.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody bitched because they didn't get to see somebody getting their leg bit off. Just the imagination of that alone, of just being floating out there, waiting to get eaten, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. So
you see that surfer the other day get hit twice? He's out in the water. One shark hits him, another one just comes in and pounds him in the head. This is like a world-class surfer, and he's from Australia. He's down in South Africa, and he's just kicking and he gets out of it. But you just see there was the luckiest man in the world, because that's over.
No, and that's going to happen way more, because we've completely fished out the ocean. Like, they're dragging nets so low now, they're pulling shit out of the water, like fish we've never seen on like docks and stuff. And so they're running out of food. So if you're going to go in there, it's like when you go to a restaurant, you're like, yeah, let me get the pork chop. They go, all right, we're sold out. You don't say, fuck it, I'm not eating. You just go, all right, give me the chicken. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. They want to eat a seal. It's not there. All right, fuck it. Let's eat a surfer. It's not my first choice. That board's a little tough on the roof of your mouth, but there's a little meat on that bone. I'll take it.
So that's where you think the attacks are coming from, just that we're running out of fish because there's so many.
Yeah, like that's the dumbest thing about Jaws, when they have it it's mad at these people on the boat and following them. Like, I gotta kill these people. Like, sharks think that shit. They're just out there eating. And if you're gonna be dumb enough to get in the water.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like if you went to a restaurant and dove on the table and laid there until hungry people came by. Because that's exactly where we are now.
I don't think it is like that. That's a lot weirder. That's a little cannibalistic.
Oh, I was going post-helicopter world while you're flying around.
Oh, that's going to be it?
Yeah, and I'm stuck
with
fighting.
An apple right in your mouth. I'll be hovering over it. That's Ron. God damn it. Make it quick. Make it quick.
But do you want your own helicopter, or you...
Yeah.
You want to just...
I don't think you're going to rent one during the apocalypse. I think that'd be a little weird. Can I get a little help with your car? The system's down.
It's funny because I see a lot of these people that are worried about the end times, and they get guns and ammo and food, but...
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Let the morons grow the food and get supplies. People who do that and don't have a gun, all you're doing... You're just gathering provisions for the toughest guy in your block or the guy with the biggest gun. Hey, thanks for all the apples. Blow. That's it. Then he's going to take them.
But you'll be flying over that in your helicopter.
Yeah, I got, 2.5 hours, 3 hours of fuel, and then what am I going to do? Look for some apple trees.
Are you cynical about the future, or are you, are you feeling like we can pull out on this?
No, definitely cynical. I think it's everything. I believe the beginning, middle, and end thing. And I just think we're like Quint at the end of Jaws, sliding down the boat, fucking kicking at the mouth. I think it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah. It's the way the whole fucking thing's set. The level of murder that you would have to commit to turn this thing around. You know what I mean? To truly change the political system. I mean, you would the amount of throats that you would have to fucking slit just to get your message out there. The Rupert Murdochs, all the way up to people you don't even know who the fuck they are. The real guys. The real guys who fucking, pay the politicians and all of them. All of them you'd have to whack. You'd need military power. The guys who got a shot at doing, I think, would be like those Blackwater guys, if what they say is true. Believe it or not, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy, but I just, I'm also not an idiot either. I don't watch, I can't believe they're even going to do another election. That's a joke I'm doing in my act. I'm like, are you really going to go through this again? They just fucking pick somebody. I don't want to, I got to sit through these debates again? Like, we got to stress the educational system. The Democrats, it's all their fucking fault and all that. I'm really enjoying Donald Trump, though. I can't tell you that.
He is.
He's fucking tremendous.
He is a lot of fun.
He's like a comedian that doesn't give a shit about the crowd, and he's killing.
Yeah.
Dude, saying that what's-his-face was a hero just because he got caught, that is one of the most epically funny fucking things. Not because it's funny that he's shitting on the guy, just because of the reaction of the crowd of, oh my God, how could you say that? He was tortured. That's what makes it funny. That's what people who aren't comedians. They don't understand that level of the funny.
Yeah,
that you just fucking completely offended a whole room full of people. And it's like, yeah, that's why you do it. Just to watch somebody like, why would you say that? That's horrible.
Yeah.
And they take it like if, but I mean, I guess he kind of fucking means it, but just like he was giving out people's phone numbers like some pissed off 7th grader girl that got broken up with. I mean, I think he's hilarious. And I've been comparing him to, like, you know, he's like that person like the beginning of American Idol who can't sing, and it's like the most entertaining thing. Like, no, don't kick him out. Keep giving him hope. So I hope he keeps going. I hope he keeps trashing people.
I hope he I hope he wins just to see him jerk the wheel. You know what I mean? Just to get elected and fuck it all up.
No, you can't have that guy running it.
I think
you can't. I mean, I don't take it that far. How would you solve the Middle East problem? I'd bomb the hell out of him.
Just to see the country roll, you know, just roll. But there are people who are like, finally, someone is saying this shit. And you're like, really?
I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying finally somebody's at least being honest. But to sit there and like be saying finally and that it actually relating and agreeing with what the fuck he's saying. I mean, the guy's like, he sounds like some maniac at a bar. Like his solutions.
Yeah.
For illegal immigration, I just build a wall and I'd have Mexico pay for it. Oh yeah? How would you go about that?
Well, that's the great thing about having no record. You know what I mean? Like he could just say that he could do these things and no one can really go back and check on him and say, no,
the guy's hilarious. Like, I can't believe that that's what he's worth. These days he's worth like $9 billion. Yeah, every time I went to Atlantic City when I was coming up, he always had a fucking casino that was in bankruptcy. Right. They were getting dimes on the dollar, and I was just sitting there just looking at him, going, if this guy's really running an empire, does he have time to do this reality show to see if, like, Brett Michaels is going to be a better CEO than Cyndi Lauper of this company that doesn't exist? It's like, I don't think he gets. I honestly don't think if you asked him to get me $6,000 in cash, I think it would take him a good 10 days. I think he's just leveraged.
Right.
He's got a bunch of shiny ties. He fires people and stuff. I think he's one of the great showmen that I've seen in a while. I think a lot of it is like that P.T. Barnum thing. Yeah,
it's been a long run that he's been doing this too. I mean, he was with the USFL. He's gone back that far.
Oh yeah, he goes broke and then like has the nerve to write a book like, you know, The Art of the Deal. Right. It's like, oh yeah, how do you go broke? How do I go bankrupt? It's a dumb cover. He's standing in that office with the fucking I'm successful chair and desk behind him. Finance.
Yeah. But is there someone out there that you care about, or you don't allow yourself to get to?
I haven't paid enough attention.
Yeah.
I actually have tapped out of everything about 6 weeks ago. I just stopped watching. There was this weird thing where, like, Hillary announced that she was running, right, and did that awful joke, you know, I may not be the youngest candidate, but I'm the youngest woman candidate. And everybody's like, clap. They said California was going to run out of water. And Bruce became Caitlyn. That all happened like within a 6-week period. I was just like, I'm not watching this shit anymore.
You can't.
I don't want to see how all this stuff plays out.
You know, the Caitlyn thing, I think, is amazing because
blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to say that. You're automatically homophobic. It's like, wait a minute. I knew this guy is a dude for 40 years. Sorry. Can I fucking be like, what? Can I? I'm not allowed to do that?
Yeah.
The joke I do in my act is like, dude, you shave your beard off. People are like, whoa, they do a double cake. What the fuck? You know? You walk out the door, dude, and come back a woman. You know? You got to expect somebody's going to be like, I'm just supposed to continue, just pick up the conversation?
Yeah. Well, this is, seriously.
Yeah, so Caitlyn, as I was saying, you know, the fucking, I mean, you got to give me like a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong if that's what he wants to do, absolutely. But you can't expect people not to do like a double take.
So, but were you aware, were you old enough when he was the decathlon winner? Do you remember?
I remember him on Chips. And then he was on the Wheaties box, and then I watched all the highlights, the sports highlights, because there was no ESPN. So if you were a sports fan, anytime there was a sports highlight show, it was fucking unbelievable. And you watched anything. So we watched the whole thing on him winning like the decathlon and all that type of stuff. So I knew him as that. And over the years, Sports Illustrated, I remember him doing this whole article on him. Just what a cool guy he was, and going to one of his many houses. And I remember this description of him walking into this garage, and there was like a Porsche Targa in there, and he kind of ran his finger along, and there was like dust on it. I'm like, this guy's got so many cool cars, he has dust on his Porsche. This guy's the shit. He had the fucking hair. He was the man. The guy was the fucking man. So for all of that, when I was watching him getting the nose job and everything, I was already feeling bad, going, dude, you were a great looking guy. You were the fucking man. You know, I had no idea that was, going on with him. So, I'm happy that if that makes him happy, but I reserve the right. I still get to be like, what the fuck? It's like, dude, I didn't hear you in a monologue for 40 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got that all at once, like a bucket of water.
Yeah, that's true. And it took him 40 years to accept it and do it, and then everybody in America had to do it over the weekend.
Yeah, it's not that I don't accept it. Yeah. It's just that I had to be like, let me wow, okay.
Yeah, it's true, because that entire time, to win the decathlon, and I think he did it in Montreal, right? Isn't that where it happened? So it was right here 39 years ago. And that is, it's about the best thing an athlete can do. If you're in the Olympics, you got
all around,
you got the 100 meters just to prove that you're the fastest guy on the planet, which is crazy.
Well, fastest guy also can throw like a stick.
No, but there's
bowling ball and all of that shit.
There's two different things you do. The one guy is just the flat out fastest, and then the guy who can do all the sports the best.
They should do like a modern day decathlon, like a guy who still knows how to use a record player, right? A guy who can use dial-up and get something to fucking work. I don't know. I'm not a big technology guy.
Well, there's always that guy that can roll a joint while he's driving. I think that's the thing that people forget about. That is a skill. Yeah. I saw a guy doing it on a motorcycle, as a matter of fact, and I'm like, there's a guy he was just sitting there at the light, and as it's changing, he's still rolling the light. And I've never seen anything like it before or since in my life. Way more impressive than David Blaine to me. I'm like, look at what I just witnessed.
Yeah, because David Blaine, it's like, it's a trick.
Is it a trick?
That was actually no, he's actually a wizard. But for some reason, he's not robbing banks and everything. He still feels the need to put on the makeup and go out and go do that shit. It's funny, that reminds me, I had a buddy of mine I went to high school with, and one time he was riding a motorcycle, and he was so fucking stoned. When he went up to the red light, he forgot to put his feet down for a split second. And by the time he got his feet down, the whole fucking thing was that there's a tipping point on a motorcycle where you're not going to get it back.
Right.
And he went right over. And this guy had to get out and help him out. He was famous for that. One time we skipped school, and we were getting fucked up, and he wanted to get a haircut for some reason. And he went in, we were all fucked up. And he had like a Bruce Jenner haircut. And he went in there. And the guy goes to comb out his hair to start, and he had a joint behind his ear, and it fell out on the fucking floor. Yeah. And the guy picked it up amongst all the hair, and he gave it to him. And he's just looking at me. That dude was a riot.
Yeah.
He was a fucking riot. I remember he cursed out my teacher. We had this physics teacher, and the guy used to give him shit about being high all the time because he knew he was on drugs. And at one point he asked him a question, and he didn't have, it wasn't physics, it was like biology, project physics, it was some bullshit class I was taking. And he asked him the question, and he said, he goes, read number 7. He goes, I don't have my book. And he goes, where's your book? He goes, I lost it. He goes, oh yeah, you sure you didn't smoke it? And I almost said the crowd, the whole class laughed at him. And as they were laughing, he said underneath all of them, he pointed at him, he goes, you say one more thing about me and drugs, I'm going to fucking kill you. And we were all just like, what the fuck? And the teacher actually kind of respected it, because he was just kind of like, he played it off like, what did he say? Did he just say what I think he said? He didn't send him down to the office. I think for some reason he actually was kind of a man about it. Like, yeah, I kind of did take it too far. You know, you're struggling with an addiction, and I shouldn't throw this out to everybody. It was a real cool kind of moment. It's just like, and we were just sitting there like, he just said fuck, and he's not getting attention. I'll never forget that. I was sitting there. It was his right hand. You say one more thing about me and drugs, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I was just like, that's still better than any Schwarzenegger line I've ever seen in a movie or anything. It was fucking awesome.
It really is funny about addiction. Like, the last story is always so sad, but the 30 before that story are just the greatest stories you've ever heard in your life. And yeah, the last one is terrible. We all know it. We sit around meetings going, But what about those other stories? It was really, we had a fucking run, didn't we? We had a real run.
When I got busted for drinking and driving when I was like 21, we came into the class and the teacher, he was an alcoholic, recovered, and he told his story. Mm-hmm. So then he was having us going around telling everybody tell your story, how you ended up here. And everyone was just kind of like, well, I went out and I had a couple of drinks and blah, blah, and they're telling them really dry and everything. Yeah. So I ended up, when it came around to me, I told mine funny. And it like loosened up the room. And by the end of it, everybody was trying to top everybody's stories.
Right,
and it was just fucking destroying. Yeah. And like that drinking and driving class was one of the most fun classes I ever had. We were all in the same boat, laughing our balls off. And we all, there's some people who were alcoholics. Most of us were just fucking idiots. And there was this one guy, bitch, every fucking week because he blew a .08, which was right on the line, and he got busted. And I remember one of the requirements was you had to go to a Mothers Against Drinking and Driving thing. And I thought I was just going to be me and like 6 mothers who lost their kids because of a moron like me crying and screaming at me. And we showed up, it was the exact opposite. It was like one mother trying to tell her story in front of a bunch of drunks who were bitching about their case to her. That guy, I blew a .08. The guy goes, I drive for a living. I ought to be able to drive during the day. I got a family to support. And this other guy goes, I think they call that a something clause. He's like, I call it a working man's clause. And then the mother was up there going, so anyways, Timmy was coming home from band practice and was changing a flat on the side of the road. And it was really like this moment where I was sitting there and I couldn't judge anybody. I was like, this is where you're at, Bill. This is the demographic. These fucking morons are you. Yeah. You have a little more, sense not to complain to this woman here, but it was, there was all of that. And I tell you, when I went to an AA meeting, if you're ever bored, go to one. Like the fucking stories. Like I thought I had stories. These guys, it's always the most fucking unbelievable thing ever. And then they end it. Always like the epilogue is always, and what was crazy was I went right back down to the liquor store and I got another fucking bottle.
That is true.
That's alcoholics.
But that's the thing about being a fuck up is that you always have a buddy who's worse. You know what I mean? Like there's always someone that you can look at. You're like, I'm pretty bad, but this asshole that I fucking hang around with. You know what I mean? He's a maniac.
We had a kid in our grade lit his elementary school on fire and stood there and watched it until the cops got. One of the funnies, unfortunately, passed away. I have a lot of friends who passed away, but he's what a fucking riot that guy was. Yeah. One of the funniest guys I ever met in my life, man. But he definitely had some issues.
See, I always think that those guys too, like we don't even realize it, particularly those buddies that you had, are as responsible for who you are today as your parents. You know what I mean? Like they mold your personality and your outlook and your philosophy, I think, for the rest of your life. You know?
Those guys were some of the guys I grew up with, particularly some of the ones who passed away were some of the funniest guys ever, and they could give a fuck about stand-up comedy, could give a shit about sketch comedy. They, in a lot of ways, were not even trying to be funny. They were just like, they were people who, they thought something and then they did it. Like, I'm like a storyteller. Like, they were the story. Like, they,
Exactly.
You'd go to McDonald's, the next thing you know, they would be like in a fist. I had a friend of mine, he fucking hated pickles. So, he fucking used to always order cheeseburger, ketchup only. And he was fucking high and he wanted to go in and he was really looking forward to it, and they fucked up and he bit in. It was a big pickle. And he came in, he walked up and he was just like, hey, he goes, I asked for, a cheeseburger, ketchup only, and blah, 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 blah. So the guy goes, all right. And he already had an attitude, and he put all this fucking ketchup on it. And I'm just sitting there going like, I would have just been like, oh, this guy's a dick. And I would have wiped it off. And he went up and just walked. It was like fucking 10 people in line. And he walked up, balled this thing up, and threw it. It's like Roger Clemens slammed it in the side of the guy's head. And next thing you know, they were in a full-on fist fight. This is like pre like fucking YouTube. And I remember just getting in the car afterwards, trying to think what happened. He's got a split lip and his t-shirt's all ripped. He's like, fuck that guy. And then we drove like a half a mile down the road and we went into Wendy's. And went in and got a cheeseburger, ketchup only. I'm just looking at it. He went up there and he's ordering and shit, and his fucking lip is all messed up. And I just remember thinking, like, this guy's like he's a fucking cowboy. He was just born at the wrong goddamn time. And I just remember just thinking, I just felt I was the most boring guy ever because I was too like raised like I would never do that. But I so respected him.
Sure.
Even though it was wrong, the guy fucking deserved it. And he nailed him right in the side of the head. It was fucking, I remember I used to think for years, I wish I did that.
Right.
Even if I lost, it was great.
Now, did you tell those stories though? Is that where maybe some of your style came from, of saying this shit to people that you hung out with?
I used to. Then I would go to school on Monday, and that was my job. And I would tell the stories and make everybody laugh. But if people really paid attention, I was always the background. Like I never like got involved. Like I had fights right up until like junior high, but then everybody hit their fucking growth spurt, and then that was it. And I became the funny guy as opposed to trying to fight anybody.
But I think that's always Cassidy was there for Jack Kerouac. All those stories were really somebody else's stories, but Kerouac was able to write them down and tell them in a way that would be funny. And I always think there's the kid in the neighborhood, and that's the kid who has a chance to become a comic, who can sit around and tell the story of a crime that took place, and then make everybody laugh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is a piece, and that's never discovered in school, There is never a teacher who said, God, there's this funny motherfucker in the back of the class. And I said this one time to David Brenner a long time ago because his kid was going through it. And I'm like, there's never been a chance where you get called into school and they say, your third grader is funny on a 9th grade level right now. We really should do something with that kid. Because Brenner, the reason why I came up, Brenner was really, he'd gotten a call from the teacher and his kid had done something and he just thought it was the fallout funniest shit he ever heard in his life, He was saying to his kid, how do you come up with that shit? That's fucking great. But you'd have to be a comic dad. Yeah. Anyone, everyone else's dad would be pissed.
No, yeah, my dad didn't like that I screwed around in school. He just called me the town clown and just say you're not gonna, you need to study, you got to hit the books and all that. But he has a great sense of humor about it now. Like whenever I come back, when I do a show and I've sold some tickets or whatever, I always quote, D- in math, because he used to flip out about that. Christ, you got a fucking D- in math. You're going to, I had to go to summer school every year. Summer school, another great place for comedians as far as just like funniest fucking people. Right. Funniest people ever. Completely didn't give a fuck. All shop class people like. Yeah. Dude, there's like people with beards in your class and shit. It was just fucking, they were just a whole other level. Yeah. Funny and lack of respect for the teacher. It was just Well, summer school was great too because you get to weed out a lot of the people who aren't really going to be fun. You know what I mean? So they're gone. Yeah, no, there was no nerds. It was all people who it was bad. I was lucky I didn't end up doing drugs because I remember it was like smoking weed and that type of shit, and I just always stayed away from that stuff, fortunately. Yeah. Oh, you didn't? Yeah. I was in early. I made a reference to an 8-ball before. Before we came out here, and you freaked out, saying you were this close to going and get one. Yeah, right. That's all I got to do is hear it in a room. I'm going, really? 8-ball? Well, it's only been a couple decades, but let's go. Let's just fucking take off. But you never had that itch, huh? That never bothered you. No, I didn't want to die. I've never understood people that fucking, you know what? I'm going to be the guy who tries heroin and doesn't get addicted. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like so many people have fucking ruined their lives doing it. You even know the story. I know, the first high. You're always chasing the first fucking high, and you're never that high again. And that itch is there for the rest of your fucking life. It's like, why would I want to introduce that? But some people don't eat sushi, too. So what do they know? Why did you take it personal? No, you didn't know. Yeah. See, you didn't know. Yeah. You were part of that generation where they said, the doctors said that Coke was no more addicting than caffeine. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I saw Len Bias, Celtics fan. I saw him, and the whole story was he did it once, and he was dead. Yeah. And they were just like, all right, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. So, but then because booze was legal, I became an absolute booze hound. And you just think that, it's not a bad thing because it's legal, but I probably have drank way too much in my life. Is that right? Oh, yeah. Murder it. Yeah. I'm not drinking right now. The last 3 months though, I went on a tear. But it's something that you can put away anytime you want to. Yeah, and I don't get like the shakes and sweats and that type of stuff, but like I just get bored. I have a lot of free time. And, I have a refrigerator. I have beer in it, Why the fuck wouldn't I want to go over and have one? And
I'll
then
tell you
it tastes good.
Yeah.
What you got to do is once you get the buzz, you just got to sit there and chill and let it go away. That's the way to have the one. You go out and get a water. It's really hard to do. It's like when you have a cookie, just fucking have one. And you got to, you know what's good at that is, believe it or not, Keith Richards. For as much shit as that guy gets, if you read his book, the way he did drugs, how so many people died was like he kept himself in an even buzz. He goes, you didn't just sit there doing blow all night. He goes, you'd fucking, do a line and then you walked around, you talked to people, have a couple of beers, whatever. You come back 90 minutes later, you do another one. As opposed to you, I can tell that fucking look in your eye right now. Jesus Christ, I just saw the sun coming up.
Yeah. But see, I read the Richards book too, and I thought, what a fucking liar! I didn't believe a goddamn thing that he said about maintaining. I really didn't.
No, but he admitted it right up through the 70s that he was a problem. But he said once I got off heroin, the damage had already been done. That was already my reputation. But he said basically from the 80s on, I mean, he's drank, but he hasn't done anything. The guy's been fucking basically drug free as far as illegal drugs for like 35 fucking years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I wonder. I do. I wonder. I have no idea.
I think he gives guys like you hope though. The fact that he's still going around, so you don't want him to be like,
seriously, when I
yoga and shit.
No, he's my Joe DiMaggio. When I just say him, I go that many in a row. You know what I mean? 56. But
that's funny because I look at drinkers like that. I hate when I love that people love seeing people in their 50s that still fucking get shit faced.
Yeah,
it makes me feel good.
Yeah,
to see that. You know what I mean? I hate seeing like I don't know. It's like seeing like an old ball player have to retire. Like, I don't do that anymore. I just fucking drinking juices and stuff.
Isn't that always the worst thing of that guy that you saw like that when you were a kid and he was athletic and partying, and then you see him, at an old timers game and he needs to be helped up. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit. So that's where it goes. But you were bringing up, you saying you got a lot of free time. Do you have as much free time as you used to? Because you got a lot of projects going, man.
I thought I was being smart doing the cartoon thing because I was like, I just walk in with a baseball hat, no hair, no makeup, no fucking wardrobe. I can just knock these out and I'll be done. I didn't realize how much work it was going to be, but it's been fun. But there's, you forget that if you're going to do a cartoon, after you write it and record it, that's like, all right, what do these people look like? And you're like, oh shit. And then they just start drawing people and you have to, with every character, be like, no, the eyes are to this, or make the ears here. His shoulders are to this. It was really slow at first, and I have major fucking ADD, so that part was frustrating. But now we're at a fun part where we know what it looks like, we know the vibe of the show, and we're just tightening it all up.
So you know what these characters look like, but you still don't have any episodes done? I mean,
no, we have them done. I'm just saying that the amount of work that it was, and I did that Seinfeld Comedians in Cars right as we were starting to do it, and I was sitting there going like, yeah, dude, all I have to do is do this, this, and this, and he just started laughing because he did that B movie, and he was just like, oh no, dude. He goes, you're going to be there all fucking day.
Yeah.
But it's still been fun.
Well, you done voiceover before on the games and shit, like video games, right?
Yeah, Grand Theft
And that
Auto.
when you come in and you do stuff, and you're
but that's you're in and out. You're just a hired gun.
Yeah,
hired gun.
Because you got nothing to do with it. But when it's yours and you're thinking about shaping, it's like those South Park guys haven't seen the sun in like 20 years, and everybody just thinks they're a couple. They're crazy, blah blah blah. Those guys bust their ass to get there.
No, they've been. That's the best social commentary for 20 years going, and I think people just take it for granted. Myself included, and there's all these channels and all this shit to do, and then I always, if I catch an episode, it's always ridiculously topical. They hit it from every angle, and they always land it. And I'm at least 3-4 times I laugh out loud every episode, and I don't laugh. It's just being a comic. It takes a lot. Well,
a lot of their shit.
If you fell out of that chair right now, I would die laughing. Like that's what happened. Like that's what has to happen.
Yeah, it would take something
like
horrific.
A clever quip isn't going to get me at this point.
But those guys too, you'll see them, and I don't know how they do this with animation, but there'll be references to shit that happened like 4
I think
days
it's
earlier.
the style of their animation, which initially people were laughing at because it was so cheap and inexpensive. But what's great is the turnaround is real quick, so they can just be talking about like Bruce becomes Caitlin, and then I swear to God, it seems like 3 weeks later they have an episode that deals with all different sides of that.
Yeah, you haven't gotten over that yet, have you?
What's that?
Bruce becomes GailAaann? Still struggling?
No, I have fun with it with my wife because she's one of those big ones that goes like, she.
Yeah, right.
Caitlin.
Yeah.
So I just walk around the house going, I think it's cool that he's a woman. I just do that on purpose. Or just start debates going, well, he still has his dick, so what the figure? Yeah.
Again, he didn't make the full run.
But it's all how you identify. See, another thing too is you should be allowed to be ignorant of it and not just be branded homophobic. So what I've learned is it's what you identify with. I will tell you what's funny though is I heard there's some jail systems they're gonna put transgender people with the sex that they identify with.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So they get to move over.
But it's funny to me that they're taking the time to do that, but they're not going to help Detroit. You know what I mean? I mean, granted. I mean, these are criminals. I mean, it's not supposed to be comfortable. No? Let's get them a Craftmatic adjustable bed while they're at it. You know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, this transgendered person did something wrong. Held up a 7-Eleven. They did something, right?
Normally beat up.
Yeah. They just, dude, you are, like, this is so fucking weird. Like, if you're a transgender person, you are a fucking saint.
Yeah, you are.
Like, you can't even tease, like, the way you guys just pulled back, all the fucked up shit that I've said in the last hour, the way you just pulled back, like, oh my God. I'm not saying these are criminals who happen to be transgendered. They're fucking sitting there acting like they're at the Ramada. Like, is everything okay with your room? You know what? I kind of maybe like a corner one.
But they're brave. They're brave for doing that. That's the thing. You're brave for doing something that you wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, somebody made a choice.
No pun intended. It does take a lot of fucking balls to go to your family and show up. I said no pun intended. Yeah. To show up and just, like I just come back like, hey, I'm Becky now. Yeah. And what's going on? I'm Becky Burr. Deal with it. Fucking deal with it. That takes an unbelievable amount of courage.
If you do this now, right?
I try to outlive all my siblings and my parents. I just start juicing and I'd wait till they're all dead and then I would do it. I'm a coward.
Well, Bruce waited till his dad was gone and his mom couldn't do anything about it before he put under. Was he 60 or she 65?
She.
And now we're all supposed to say that she's gorgeous too, which we don't say about any other 65-year-old woman, but we have to about GailAaann, If you just brought out a woman now that was 65, everybody wouldn't be going, she looks fantastic.
He should have done it when he was still young.
At the Olympics. And now 65. We're all supposed to say that she's gorgeous too, which we don't say about any other 65-year-old woman, but we have to about GailAaann, If you just brought out a woman now that was 65, everybody wouldn't be going, she looks fantastic.
He should have done it when he was still young,
At the Olympics.
Yeah. So then he could have been. Now he's, oh my God. Yeah. Just his choices.
Right.
Just as a guy, it's bad enough at 65, but if you got a gold medal, you know what I mean? There's always going to be some girl to pretend to be interested in you. Sure. Guys, don't work like that. He's going to find that out.
She's going to
find that out.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I guess though, but you have moved over and your acceptance, you're willing to accept now, and I don't know whether you'd been there years ago, so it's working, I guess.
Yeah, I honestly don't give a shit what people do.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody. No, I didn't always feel that way because I grew up in Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. So I was like, I always knew that, some of the information was fucked up, but you have to undo, like, if you grow up, like, the Boston has a bad reputation for being racist. What I found on the road is just basically you get outside of any major city, you get 10, 15 miles out, it gets fucked up. And I think a lot of people in the city still think fucked up shit, they just know enough not to say it. So that's kind of what makes a lot of people metropolitan, is that they know not to say some of the shit, but they still think it. But I think through your 20s you work it out, and because your first 20 years of your life, you were fed the dumb shit. Right. And in your 20s, you hopefully get a wide variety of friends. So then you get frames of references. Well, so-and-so's not like that. This person's not like that. Then you work your way out of it. So I will be forgiving of people somewhere around 35. Like if you haven't started to come out of that and you still think shit like that, then that's pretty generous, 35. I'd say like about 31, 32. And if you still, then I feel like that's how you're going to be, and you're depressing. I find those people depressing.
Well, but here's the deal. No one ever brings this up. You know, we talk about acceptance, but you're willing to accept racists when they're young and dumb and were just raised that way and don't know any better, which was I know my...
When I was growing up, like macaroni and cheese was a main dish. We used to have it with toast. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was a side dish.
Right.
So while that's going on, if someone's going, let me tell you about these Jews, it's like you got a lot of shit. You got to fucking, right. You got to work out. Not saying that second part happened, but I'm just saying.
But no, that's really, really true. And it does take time. It does take time before you can grab those concepts and say, I'm going to really think about them for a while, because I had 17 years of being in this neighborhood. You know?
Yeah, and your parents are your heroes and the people you grow up with, and if they do that shit, then
The adults in my neighborhood, and this would be insane today, but they used to say to us, you got to hold the neighborhood. It's up to you kids. You got to hold it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck we're even talking about. But they were always worried about people moving in, because we lost Chester. It was always the thing that came up. So they laid that on you. And then it took for years for me to go, the fuck were they? Why were they so fucking locked into this? But it doesn't happen overnight. Hey, the new special that you got coming out, is that done now, or is this something?
No, I just had one come out in December.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have another one coming out by the time we're doing this?
No. When is this coming out?
This is coming out the same time as your animated.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wonder why you kept asking me about it. I kept thinking it's like 4 months away.
Yeah. Well, I was told to ask you about it.
Well, that fucking jerk off in the back wasn't enjoying it. So
he got to you, though. If the one person is not happening, you can't take it.
I just think that the snoring thing's a hacky way of heckling. I would have appreciated more if you yelled something out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he was actually snoring, though. He was been fucking partying pretty hard.
Or maybe I was actually that boring.
Yeah. I know you got stuff to do. You got shows tonight, though.
Yes, I do.
But I appreciate.
But I do a special every other year. So I did a special last year. This is the fun year where I get to fuck around and do anything I want, hackiest shit ever, to something I'm really trying to work on. And then next year I take out all the shit that I'd be embarrassed for other comedians to see. And hopefully I still have 60 minutes left, and then I film a special.
But this year you're not even thinking about it. You're just writing jokes on your own stuff that makes you laugh. Yeah.
Just having fun and just seeing where it's going to go.
Bill Burr, one of the best, my friend.
All right, thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Bill Burr, thank you, buddy. Always fun. Thank you. Very good.